Good afternoon. My name is Tanmay Kayande, and for the last decade, I've been the trusted advisor for executives from startups to SMBs to enterprise scale organizations. I've found the patterns in the architecture of those that lead their field. I know because I've designed and developed their systems and processes using AI, platforms, models, and frameworks to positively affect billions of users. Now I bring my insights to you. Welcome to session 14, our final session before the recap. We've learned an incredible number of techniques and best practices from chain of thought to using structured data, but none of it matters if you can't find what works for your specific task and remember how you did it later. Today we're covering two most critical activities that tie everything together, experimentation and documentation. By the end of this brief session, you'll be able to explain why continuous experimentation is crucial for prompt engineering, and secondly, stress the importance of documenting your prompt attempts in a structured way. To wrap up our practical skills, we'll cover why experimentation is a non-negotiable part of the process and why documentation is your most important tool for long-term success, and how all of this fits into a final iterative workflow. These best practices, if you're following along in the white paper, can be found between pages 59 to 63. Let's begin with the engine of all improvement, experimentation. Experimentation is key because different models, different configurations, different prompt formats, or even the slightest changes in word choice can yield vastly different results. There's no single perfect prompt for all situations. To find what works, you must experiment. There are several ways to do this. Experiment with different input formats and writing styles, like posing a request as a question versus a direct instruction. Experiment with different output formats, like asking for JSON structure instead of plain text, or adapting to model updates by trying out newer versions and adjusting your prompts to leverage new capabilities. You can experiment even with other prompt engineers to see how different people approach the same problem. This leads to the second equally critical practice, documentation. It's important to document your prompt attempts in full detail so you can learn over time what went well and what did not. Why? Because prompt outputs can differ across models, across settings, and even between identical prompts due to a small element of randomness in how the model works. Without a record, you can't reliably replicate good results or even debug bad ones. A recommended solution is to create a detailed log. A good log would capture the name, the version of your prompt, its goal, the model name, the version you used, all the specific configurations if you're working on the backend, like temperature, top K, and top P, and the full and exact text of your prompt, as well as the output you received. So the paper suggests that you add columns for the iteration number and whether the result was okay or not okay, and any other feedback. This all comes together in our final concept. Prompt engineering is an iterative process. You craft a prompt, you test it, you analyze the output, you document everything, and then you refine the prompt and start the loop all over again until you reach the desired result. Let's illustrate that iterative process. Imagine you're trying to create the perfect prompt to summarize customer service calls. You write a simple prompt, summarize this call. You log it in your spreadsheet as prompt underscore v1 along with the model and settings. You run it and the output is way too long. In your log, you mark the result as not okay, too long. Attempt 2. You refine the prompt. Summarize this call in 50 words or less. You log this as prompt underscore v2. The output is concise, but it misses the customer's core problem. You log this new output and mark it not okay, hyphen missed key details. Attempt number 3. You refine it again, this time using a specific instruction. Summarize this call in 3 bullet points, focusing only on the customer's problem, the action taken by the agent, and the final resolution. You log this as v3, you run it, and the output is perfect. You log the successful output and mark the result OK. Now you have documented history, you know what didn't work and why, and you have a final reliable prompt v3 that you can use. When a new model is released, let's say next year, you can rerun v3 to see if it still performs as expected. Let's do a quick check. You've just created a brilliant prompt that gives you the perfect output, and you're in a hurry and decide not to write down anything in your prompt log. What are two major risks you're taking by not documenting it? I'll give you a moment to think about this. First, You might not be able to recreate it exactly later. You could forget the precise wording or the key configuration setting. Second, if the model is updated next month and your prompt suddenly breaks, you have no documented baseline to test that against or debug from. The most important takeaway in this entire course might be prompt engineering is an iterative science. Your success depends on continuous experimentation and meticulous documentation. Always track what you tried and what the result was. And this concludes our core curriculum on prompt engineering, techniques, and best practices. In the next session, it'll be our final meeting. We'll do a quick course wrap up and hold a Q&A kind of session where I'll go through the comments across all the other videos and answer any remaining questions that there might be. Thank you for your hard work throughout this course, and I'll see you in the next one.